Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It's a full house. I'm thrilled to be here today and to talk to you about a subject that I feel very passionate about since many years now, and that is the gut. Hippocrates said 2,000 years ago that all disease begins in the gut. And today, after 2,000 years, the science is confirming this. But the wise men at this time, they knew they didn't need all this modern technology to tell them that actually everything that goes wrong in our body starts first in the digestive system. So my name is, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dejana Subsol. I am a naturopath and iridologist. And I'm behind DS Naturopathy that was created here in Bahrain almost 8 years ago. And since then has helped many people regain their balance and health completely with natural means. So naturopathy, for those that do not know, is an alternative medicine in the same group as Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. And can you hear me? No? Okay. It's an alternative medicine that's in the same group as Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. And it uses completely natural means to balance people back into health. The core of it is a diet. And then we use supplements, vitamins, minerals, herbs, different techniques to give you all the tools so you can regain your balance. Okay? All the alternative medicines are holistic. That means that we don't look at just the body, physical body of an individual, but we look at the three parts of us. And these three parts are so completely intervened, they cannot be separated. Okay? We are made up from a body, mind, and soul. Okay? And we need to find ourselves right there in the middle if we want to be in balance. So the body, that means also the body will have huge influence on the mind and the soul, just as the mind and the emotions will have an impact, a very big impact. And today scientifically we know that our molecules, our chemistry changes with our thoughts. Okay? So I'm going to start by talking to you that in naturopathy, we don't, unlike modern medicine, which is always looking for something why this happened to you. And this is one of the first questions that people ask me when they come to see me is why. We know why in alternative medicine, we don't need to look for this. And we know that there's only two reasons why anybody can be out of balance, and that's toxicity and deficiencies. Okay? Either your body is too toxic or it's lacking nutrients in order to construct healthy cells. Okay? Usually it's both. It's a combination of both. And today, even though the technology is advancing, our lifestyle is getting better, we are more and more sick. And all these diseases today are on the increase. If we just look at the digestive issues, I cannot tell you, probably there's only 10% of people that come to see me that do not have a digestive problem. Okay? So starting from constipation, diarrhea, colitis, irritable bowel syndromes, Crohn's disease, which used to be such a rare thing many years ago, is now becoming rather common. Asthma, eczema, allergies. When I got into the naturopathy, I got into it because my son was allergic to just about everything. And at that time, it was relatively rare to say I'm allergic to something. I was looked at as somebody who was a little bit strange when I was talking about allergies. Today, almost everybody is allergic to something, you know. Eczema, psoriasis, almost every third or fourth child has some issues in this group. Autoimmune disorders, we didn't even know what they were a few years ago. Now everybody is talking about autoimmune disorders, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, and of course autism, which was very, very rare before, is now, I think the statistics in the States are coming to a very, very high percentage. I forget. ADHD also, now almost every class has at least one child which is hyperactive. Concentration, difficulties with learning disabilities. I work a lot in this group, and I will talk to you about it later. The results are fascinating just with diet, only with diet. And then if you add nutrients, of course, we go much further. Anxiety, depression, panic attacks, schizophrenia, bipolar disorders as well. We never used to hear about that before. And so we want to ask ourselves, how are all these conditions related? Well, they all are digestive problems. They all start in the gut. Okay? All of these illnesses that you see here, when we treat the intestine and the digestive system and the stomach, they all improve radically. So the first signs, our body talks to us, and in natural medicine, this is something that we try to decode. We are not taught as human beings in school this language that the body uses in order to talk to us. We learn Spanish, we learn English, we learn French. Nobody teaches us how to decode these signs that the body actually is trying to tell you there's something that you're doing wrong. So they start with a little bit of a big belly, a little bit of a bad breath, some acne on the face, dark circles under the eyes, breaking nails, stomach aches, children especially. Some deficiencies, you will do some blood tests, they will tell you you're iron deficient. Well, guess what? You improve your digestive tract, your iron goes back to normal. Vitamin B's as well. Allergies and eczema, we talked about. Urinary infections, completely linked to the intestine. Trouble sleeping. Yeah, that's one of the first ones that happens. A lot of people today do not sleep as they should. And fatigue, of course. And then there's a lot more that are, of course, linked to that. We will come to that. Constipation and reflux, they are just really the classics. Okay? So how does our body function? Just a quick one so that you can understand what actually happens inside this digestive tract. We eat food, and anything that lives in this planet eats some kind of food in order to produce energy, and there's some waste that comes out of that, and that's balance. Okay? Everything that lives functions on this principle. Okay? This food needs to be specific to the species. Okay? According to the species. So you have fish, you have monkeys, you have tigers, elephants, birds. Everybody has their own group of foods, and this group of foods is related to the digestive system that each species has. So we are in the group of Homo sapiens, and therefore our digestive system is the same as monkeys. And if you look at the monkey will have 5 groups of foods. Okay? Fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds, and a little bit of protein. Okay? 5 groups of foods. You notice that in these 5 groups of foods that our digestive system is designed to process, there's no cereal, there's no bread, there's no rice, there's no coffee, there's no tea. Okay? There's no alcohol, of course. So those are what we call non-specific foods, okay? If you give your dog or your cat chocolate every day, if they take it, after a while they're going to get very sick, and you're going to realize, I gave it chocolate, and that's why, it's not feeling very well. But when we eat all these foods, we presume that it's okay, all right? And we have a very intelligent system that still processes all this and still keeps us running, and until one moment when it starts giving us signs that it's too much. It cannot take anymore, okay? And those are all the signs that I was telling you. So, and we're designed actually to eat all of these foods raw, okay? But you will see now towards the end that when we have a digestive system that's suffering a little bit, it will not take the raw right away, okay? Because it's too rough for it. So most of us eat non-specific foods. About 80 to 90% of our food is in this group. And what happens then, this is what is interesting, is that we still manage to produce some kind of energy, okay? But we have produced far more waste. And this waste needs to go out somewhere. So we have three main filters that take care of this. And the waste is managed, each one of these filters takes it, it's selective. So different waste goes through different process by different filters. So liver is your chef, kidneys as well, intestine, very important, that's what we're talking about. And when they're too overworked or tired or cannot take anymore, they will shift the extra weight towards the lungs and the skin. So you see, for example, somebody who has asthma, that's the liver having trouble shifting waste, and it's shifting it towards lungs, okay? It's too tired. When we have eczema or acne, some kind of acne, it's the kidneys, urticaria in fact. Kidneys that are not working very well and are trying to shift waste. So in fact, this is a chart that I like to call waste management, because when we eat food which turns into energy and then what is not turned into energy comes out, then we're in balance. When we're not in balance is that when we're putting in too much and there's nothing coming out, it's not coming out in these 5 filters, it's actually coming back in, okay? And it's coming back in and starting to pollute inside. And that's when the cysts start and the fibroids and the tumors, etc. Okay, the lumps, etc. And that's when the problems start. So let's see what is the role of this digestive system. It starts in the mouth and it finishes on your anus, and it's about 8 meters long, okay? The whole purpose of this digestive system is to take that food that we need to that we are going to ingest and break it down so that it comes into a tiny little molecule which will then be absorbed and goes through the intestine into our blood system as food, as energy. That's the whole role of this digestive. That's a primary role. It breaks down the food so that we can burn energy. It's absorbed through the intestine, but it also has a production role. It produces lots of enzymes, vitamin B's, vitamin K. It produces antibacterial and antiviral substances. So we don't need actually the antibiotics. We have them naturally in our healthy intestine when it's working. We don't need to take supplements in vitamins B's, because we have them naturally. Our body produces them when it's functioning very well. 80% of the immune cells are produced in the intestine. Neurotransmitters, which we will see are very linked to the brain, 80% of them also are produced in the intestine, like tryptophan, which is a food for serotonin, is produced in the intestine. Okay? Lots of hormones. Synthesis of essential fatty acids like omega-3s, you must have heard of them. Okay? They are synthesized in the intestine. Bitric acid, which has a huge anti-cancer role, it has also is linked to the antibacterial, antiviral properties, is produced in the intestine. Okay? And it has an action on sleep, of course, and stress. We will see this later. So the healthy gut is actually a tube. The intestine is a tube that is not very straight. It has these finger-like projections here, which their role is to absorb these nutrients. Yeah? When the food has been broken down, it comes into a small enzyme, protein, vitamin, mineral, and then it's absorbed through this intestine. This tube is actually not empty. It's packed with microorganisms. Some of you must have heard a term microbiota or microbiome, perhaps. Well, this is a term that groups all the bacteria and viruses and parasites that live inside the intestine. So if you imagine it's a tube, and actually there's not even a tiny little space free. It's packed with these microorganisms. There's 100 trillion microorganisms. That, to give you an idea, that's 10 times more than we have our own cells in the body. Okay? And they're now coming to understand that 90% of our cells are coming from these microorganisms. So we are 90%, we're a colony of microorganisms, mainly bacteria. Okay? So the world of microorganisms got discovered about 10 and 15 years ago. There was a shift in the understanding. There was a shift in understanding of the cause of the illness in the last 10 or 15 years, because before, in order to see a bacteria, they would need to culture it. And due to the technological progress, all of a sudden, they could see an imprint of a bacteria. And over a couple of years, they realized that there was so much more to this microorganism world inside us than they thought. So it was such a huge discovery that Obama gave a huge funding for this to carry on at the time. And of course, today there's so much study into this world, and they know that this microbiome actually dictates who we are. So they've done so many tests and on the mouses, small white mouses, and they see, for example, that if they change this microbiota in a mouse, that it will, for example, they will take two twins, and one of the mouses they will inject with one type of bacteria in the intestine, and the other one with another one. And so one mouse would become introvert, and the other mouse will become extrovert. One mouse will become depressive, the other one will be very gay. One will become fat, the other one becomes skinny. So it dictates what kind of diseases we're prone to, how we react and respond to the environment, our physical shape, tendencies for illnesses, everything. So we will see that this microbiome, as I said, 100 trillion microorganisms, 90% of us. So we are a big colony of these bacteria, viruses, and parasites, mainly bacteria. Okay, we will see. So this is 3,000 microorganism genes that are ours versus 30,000. Okay, 3 million of these microorganisms versus 30,000 of our own genes. So when they tell you it's genetic, you need to understand that genetic means only 10% of your own genes. 90% we can change because they're microorganisms. And that's a huge fact. Okay, that means we have a huge power to change. Okay, and we will see how. So diversity between 500 and 1,500 species, different species of, or different families of these microorganisms. Okay, they influence our sleep, our reactivity to stress, our tendencies to develop certain illnesses, our mood, and our immune system. And the role is, as we said, breakdown of food particles. They're also the guardians and protectors of a precious front line between outside and the inside of us. When we ingest food, it goes in the digestive tract. This is considered the outside of us because it's connected to the outside. the rest of us is the inside. And we will see now how this is important. So we talked about production on different chemicals and vitamins and minerals and regulation of fat storage. Okay? So this microbiota, what is interesting for us naturopaths, I don't know if you can see this very well. This is an image of an iris. So I told you in the beginning I was an iridologist. This is an excellent tool for us naturopaths to be able to determine what is your genetics, where you are in terms of your health today, and where you're heading towards. Okay? So I just gave a lecture, a course to a bunch of students on Saturday on iridology, the level 1. And I was telling them exactly what I'm telling you right now, that we can see very easily the state of your intestines in the iris. And it happens, I don't know if you can see it here. I can see it, it's not very clear. Okay, we can see it here. Okay, so the stomach happens right around the pupil, and then the intestine wraps around here in this area, in each iris. So in fact, in the iris, you can see the reflex zones of all the organs, and that's where the intestine and the stomach happen. So for example, if I look at this iris, I know that this person has fermentation in the stomach. I can see it has a leaky gut here, and I can see that it has inflammatory processes in the intestine in 2 seconds. Okay?
But you need a microscope.
Yeah, I need a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
And I need
Just a magnifying glass?
Yeah, in order to see roughly what's happening. And then we have cameras which enlarge even more, and then you have special special iriscopes that go up to 30 times. But in a few minutes, one of my first clients when I finished iridology was a Belgian chef that was living here. And she came to me. She didn't want to really tell me what she came for. And so I started to look at her eye, and I asked her, how is your digestive system? Because this is really so easy to see in the iris. And I said, I would say that you have diverticulis in the intestine. And she just completely was shocked, and I was shocked with her, because I was just beginning, and she confirmed she had a colonoscopy a few months before that, and they found that she had diverticulis. So don't need to put a camera.
What is that?
That's,
my brother has this.
yeah, that's pockets.
Surgery.
Yeah, it's pockets.
He had a huge
Yeah.
rabbit, and he was only 26, 27.
Yeah, it's very painful.
And it returns.
Yeah, it's very painful, but we can really do a lot about
really?
it. Oh, yes.
You have to talk
Yeah.
to him.
So pockets in the intestine, especially people that are constipated, because they're pushing and the food is being fermented and not digested, it's going to create pockets in the intestine. When then food kind of stagnates in these pockets, gets inflamed, and it's very painful when it flares up. So I talked to you about bacteria, parasites, and viruses in our intestine. So we said the main part is bacterial. This bacteria has to be about 80% good bacteria, which is very beneficial for us, but we also have to have about 20% of the what we call pathogen bacteria, because it has its role, okay, in breakdown of the food. So this again is balanced about 80, 85 to 15, 20%. The problem starts when the bad guys grow, okay? And we usually, most of us that have some kind of digestive signs will be about 60, 70% bad guys, so pathogen bacteria, as opposed to the good bacteria. The good bacteria, you heard the probiotics and fermented, lacto-fermented foods, we will talk about that. So yeah, that happens when this ratio. And the bad guys, they feed on dairy, so lactose, gluten, and sugar. Okay? So if we want to bring them down, we will see that happens. There has to be a shift in the diet for a little while. Okay? So this is just an image of a different bacteria. So this is a very low diversity. So we not only have to have 80%, 85% of the good guys, but we also want to have more species inside. So we talked about between 500 and 1,500. You really want to be towards 1,500 different species. And if you have children, like I see a baby here, the best thing to give your children to have a strong immune system is to let them roll around in the dust and be exposed to as much bacteria as possible, and to have a pet. Okay? All right. So this is what constructs our immune system, as we saw, that 80% of your immune cells are produced in the gut. And what produces them is this microorganism world, okay? So the diversity is very important. When we are out of balance with bad guys versus good guys, we call this dysbiosis of the gut, okay? Skin bacteria, so we have bacteria everywhere in our body, okay? There's a lot of skin bacteria, different species of skin bacteria. We have bacteria in all the holes in our body. So everywhere, in the nose, in the mouth, in the vagina, and everywhere that you have a hole, and in intestines as well. So what happens actually in this intestine? So as I said, it's a tube, okay? This tube has a membrane around it, right? And this membrane is made of one layer of little tiny cells that are called enterocytes. These cells are very, very important for us because they are the ones that keep the barrier between the outside and the inside of us. And they have these little hairs on them that we call villi. And these hairs are actually responsible for making sure that we absorb the nutrients from the intestine into our blood system. You see here, it's all really connected with the blood. And these guys, they're born in these holes here, and as they age, they move up, and when they get to the top, they die. And this takes 3 days. Okay? So what happens when somebody has a diarrhea? Okay, that means these guys are really not in a good shape. Okay, they haven't had the good food that they need to grow healthy. They haven't been growing healthy. And in 3 days, if we just give them a chance, they will completely recycle. Okay, so a diarrhea, even the worst one, in 3 days it's finished. Usually in less than 24 hours. Okay, and what we do is we make sure that these guys have the food that they need, and they feed on fat. They feed on fat. We talk about that. So this is how it looks, a section through this intestine, and these enterocells, so these guys are very tightly packed, so they have very, very strong connections, and the exchange of the nutrients happens there. So it's very important to have these strong connections. And the problem actually starts when these connections start to break. So when they start to break, the food particles that normally are outside of us, inside the intestine, start to migrate into what we call the inside, the very clean part. Okay, this clean part here is patrolled, okay, by immune cells. Okay, they are army, and they're patrolling, and every time they see some substance that's not supposed to be there, and we say it's not on the invitation list, okay, when they come through, they attack. So when you start to have these holes, and this is what we call the leaky gut or the leaky intestine, okay, these food particles come through, and the immune cells, they're going to start attacking. Okay, and when the war is declared, we have inflammation. This is simply a reaction of our body to defend itself. Okay, so this is phase 1. When the inflammation happens, After a few days, couple of months, few months, the body will make a label to each one of these particles that comes through and label it as an enemy, and therefore it will be classed as an intolerance or an allergy. Okay? So this is step number one. We start to have certain allergies to certain foods. When we haven't paid attention to what our body is telling us for a long time, and let's say we have eczema or our child has eczema, we've been putting creams on it to say, go away, I can't see you, okay? After a while, well, the body is going to say, but she's not listening to me, okay? I'm going to tell her a little bit louder. So, phase number 2, autoimmune, okay? Autoimmune happens when these cells that have been attacking particles, which are normally friends, such as a particle of bread, particle of cheese, okay? Any other particle that hasn't been digested that comes through here, the immune cells are going to attack them because they're not supposed to be there, but they're still considered as friends, okay? After a while, they've been killing their own friends, and so they get so confused, they turn around and they start killing other cells, proper cells. So according to your genetics, you're going to either have an autoimmune that's going to hit the thyroid cells, or it's going to hit your liver cells, or it's going to be in the shape of a lupus, but it's all the same cause. Okay, it's a leaky gut that needs to be closed up, and it's very easy to do that, I can tell you. The only thing is that it takes time, okay? Healing a digestive disorder takes a little bit, a leaky gut takes a little bit of time, 6 to 12 months at least, but it's very easy to do, and we will see, okay? So this is healthy intestine versus unhealthy. You have a whole bunch of bacteria. This bacteria that I said 80% mainly is around the lining of the intestine, okay? And its role is to protect that barrier so that nothing happens to it. And also its role is to make sure that the nutrients are passed on through very easily, okay? Once that starts to change and you get a lot of pathogenic bacteria, you see this barrier starts breaking, the molecules start coming through, and the viruses and parasites, etc., they come through. So when the bacteria comes through a leaky intestine, for example, very often it will go through the urinary tract, okay, and you will get a urinary infection, okay? And you think, we've been told that all this comes from the outside, okay? It's the outside that's the enemy. But actually, it's all inside, okay? We can do so much to change that. Okay. So one very important thing that I want to talk to you about is this gut and brain connection, okay? We've known for a long time that the gut is a second brain, as we call it, that it thinks, and it's actually, we know also today that it's not our brain that gives the orders, it's an energy inside us, okay, that we call vital energy in naturopathy, but in the ancient called this chi, ki, prana, okay? This is who we really are, okay? So, but nevertheless, once this energy gets the orders, it will either go through the brain, but it can also go via the gut. And the two communicate as well, okay? And they communicate via a very long nerve, which is called the vagus nerve, okay? And so whatever happens in the gut is brought by what we call a motorway, or a very direct motorway into the brain. Okay, so if you have a lot of pathogen bacteria and a lot of toxins, so what is important to understand is that these pathogen bacteria, when they break down the particles of food that have not been digested properly, okay, as a byproduct, there will be a lot of chemicals there that are in the family of opiates and family of alcohol, and they often migrate via this nerve into the brain, and they pollute the brain, and therefore we will get a foggy brain, We will have problems concentrating. Autism also is a completely digestive disorder, and when we stop the migration, so we heal the lining, or we stop the migration of these toxins into the brain. Okay, depression, all of this happens when all these toxins migrate into the brain. And the brain actually has a protective membrane here that is made up of cells that are in the same family as these enterocytes, these cells that make up the lining. Okay? So it's very easy for these toxins to break them. Okay? So what happens is we get depressed, we get anxious. A lot of people are anxious today, and this is completely to do with the leaky gut. Okay? So here are some misbalances that are related to the leaky gut. Sinus infections, food sensitivities, as I said, brain disorders, depression, anxiety, ADHD, skin issues, all the skin issues, thyroid, Hashimoto, directly related to gluten intolerance. Okay? Hypothyroidism is on the scale probably, I would say 3 out of 4 women that I see have a hypothyroid today without even knowing it. The tests are very, very not accurate for the thyroid measurement. Okay? The colon, constipation, and of course all the fibromyalgia, headaches, adrenal fatigue, very related. Okay? So the most damaging factors, the 3 terrible threes, as I call them, the gluten, dairy, and sugars. These molecules they punch holes, we say, in the intestine. Okay?
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you mean the leakage, is it inside the intestine, inside the bilis, or outside the intestine?
If you imagine the intestine is a tube, it looks like a Swiss cheese. It has holes in it. Yeah.
No, but I mean, leakage is outside the intestine to the body, the blood?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing filtering.
Yeah. So first, you're not absorbing, and secondly, you're letting through all the particles that have not been digested, all the chemicals that are as a process of this bad digestion, and then all the viruses and parasites. Parasites, they're so common today. Okay, they've been always common. It's just that we've forgotten them. So first thing, and I see them with my machines when I test people, one of the first things you have to think of when you have a digestive issue is parasites. A lot of the problems, and when you have that imbalance between good and bad bacteria, they love this environment, okay? Why would somebody get parasites and somebody not get parasites? Is because their environment is different, okay? If you have lots of good bacteria, they don't like it, okay? All the transformed foods, but also excitant stress has a huge impact on the leaky gut. The antibiotics, we call them atomic bomb. It's like putting an atomic bomb into an intestine. It just wipes out the whole bacterial world, okay? Zero. And what happens? The pathogen bacteria is much stronger and much more resistant, so it will grow much quicker. So after one cure of antibiotics, you will find yourself straight away in that misbalance.
How do you,
Huh?
how do you reverse it?
Yeah, we will see that now. So contraception pills, all the anti-inflammatory drugs, painkillers. So if an antibiotic is an atomic bomb, the painkiller is a grenade. Okay, that's what it does. And diet, of course. So what do we do to repair? Yeah? Okay, so first you have a hose that's leaking, all right? You need to patch it up. How do we do that? Well, I talked to you about these enterocytes that make up the lining. They love fat. Okay, we need to give them lots of fat. Okay. Then we need to reconstruct, and we need proteins to reconstruct. Not necessarily animal proteins, okay? Depends on your constitution, how you're made. We don't all need to eat the same way, okay? We're all different. The base is the same, but it differs, okay, to your age, to your who you are, to your constitution, to your health issue, etc. So proteins found in the meat, in the fish, in the eggs, but also in a lot in the vegetable world. Chia seeds, hemp seeds, okay, mushrooms, all the green leaves, all the nuts and seeds full of protein, okay? Diet needs to be very, very organic as possible. Why? Because in the unorganic, you will find pesticides who will then again damage your food, okay? So go to the farmer's market, get it as clean as possible, as fresh as possible. Okay, here in this part of the world, it's important that it's fresh because it travels, you know, thousands and thousands of kilometers, and it's going to lose all the vitamins and minerals.
Not tasty.
Yeah, yeah. So we said organic, and then fermented foods. So fermented foods such as sauerkraut, kombucha, kimchi, miso, kefir. Okay, these are the foods that all of our grandparents and great-grandparents used to do, and they didn't do them just because they felt like it. It was there to bring us all this good bacteria. So 1 tablespoon of, let's say, fermented cabbage is 10 times more, at least 10 times more powerful than the best probiotics anybody can give you. Okay? Need to be very careful how you introduce them if you have a digestive issue, because you don't want to bring a lot of good guys. If you have a lot of bad guys, there will be a real battle there. So you need to go slowly, okay? And good fats. Where do we find these good fats? Coconut, anything coming from coconut, okay? Coconut meat, coconut cream, coconut milk, coconut oil, olive oil, salmon, the omega-3s, the fatty fish, the raw organic butters, okay? The meat, the fat on the meat that they told us it's cholesterol. No, this is how we repair, okay? That leaky gut. And on those of you that have been to see me, you know I make a strong accent on the broths. Okay, chicken and bone broth. This is where, and you need to cook it for a long time with a lot of lemon or apple cider vinegar, which extracts from the bones certain substances that these enterocytes, the cells that make up the lining, they love this. Okay, best way to heal a diarrhea in a few hours, and I said 24 hours, broth. Okay. Any kind of cold, virus broth for your kids, okay? So diet, when we have a digestive issue, you usually go in 3 stages, okay? First stage, we give without fiber, so that the digestive system doesn't have to work. We put it at rest, okay? This is where we give the broth, okay? And then we add some soft vegetables, very soft vegetables, which are usually carrots, courgettes, or pumpkin. Okay, we start with that. And then we add other vegetables. And then once we have introduced slowly all the good foods that our digestive system is designed for, we go back to normal by reintroducing the foods that are not really specific to us from time to time. I give you an example of my son, who, those of you that know me know the story, but he was allergic to just about everything. So I told him, Nicholas, if you're really, really good for a few years, at that time it took me so long, now I do it in 1 and 2 months for kids. If you're really, really good, for the rest of your life you can eat whatever you want. And now he eats whatever he wants. Yeah? And so he has been. So it depends on where you are. Okay, so as I said, it takes time. You have to be patient and persistent. Okay. Yeah. And keep motivation up. Okay. So keep your intestine healthy. What else can we do? We can flush the intestine, and we clean the house. We clean the car. Okay, we clean so many things, our cupboards, but we never clean our insides, okay? So clean them regularly with Epsom salts, which is magnesium sulfate, magnesium chloride, with enemas, okay? Coffee enemas, probiotic enemas. Probiotic enemas, I cannot tell you enough about that. I have a Parkinson patient in France who is doing so much better since he's been taking. So one of the best probiotics that you can get now would have about 100 billion bacteria. Okay, there's another one which is Italian one which has 400 in them. But if you put 1,000 billion every day for 10 days or 100 into an enema, you get spectacular results. Okay, so just to give you an idea of the power of these little guys. Okay, hydrotherapy is available, I think, here in Bahrain with Dr. Jamila. For those of you that are constipated, it's not for everybody, okay? So you need to know if it's good for you or not. Cleansing with seawater, this is Ayurvedic, and juice and water fasting. Put your digestive system to rest. Okay, here we are. Okay, do some fasting from time to time. This cleanses the body and kicks back into health. Supplements, yes, we do need them to repair. If we have a problem, food is not enough. Okay, food is enough, and cleaning from time to time when you don't have issues, when you're in balance. Okay, once you're out of balance, you need supplements, but you need to know what you're putting in. Okay, there's about 15% out there that's good. Okay, it's a business like anything else, and I've seen some damages done with bad supplements. So you need to be informed, or you need to go through somebody like myself who has been trained and knows what is good and what is not good. So you need to clean from parasites, first thing, okay? I suggest to every family at least once a year to do a parasite cleanse, okay? 3 herbs that are the most powerful ones. One cleans babies, one cleans eggs, another one cleans grown-ups. Black walnut, wormwood, and cloves. And then you have a lot of other herbs that also are anti-parasites, like garlic, like oregano, etc. Okay, like extract of grapefruit seed for children. Okay, this is not for children. This is for children above 8-10 years. Okay, before that you don't want to give them that. So we get rid of the parasites. We diminish the pathogen bacteria by essential oils. Oregano is great. Again, extract of grapefruit seed is fantastic. We put in the good guys in order to change the ratio, the probiotic foods. Then we repair with L-glutamine, bone broth. Okay, L-glutamine is what those cells really love. We give them food, they multiply, and they close the holes. Okay? Quality fats, as I said, medicinal mushrooms. Okay? I don't know if you heard, and adaptogen plants. My 2 favorite groups of supplements. And if I was to give you, and everybody knows that I give a lot of supplements, if I was to give you 2 that are most important, it would be medicinal mushrooms and adaptogen plants. Medicinal mushrooms like reishi, shiitake, maitake, you may have heard. Also make sure it's a good source, okay, and that it's the right mushroom. There's one mushroom that we call lion mushroom in France that is amazing for the digestive system, okay, repairs so much. And adaptogen plants like ashwagandha, rhodiola, ginseng, ginkgo, etc. Those are all ancient plants that have been used for thousands of years. They found in in the archaeology, one of the oldest bodies that they took out of the ground. In his little bag that they found the mushroom. Okay, And so they knew that the ancients healed themselves with mushrooms. Reishi, for example, is called the mushroom of immortality, and it was dedicated only to the kings in China. Only they were allowed to eat them because it has amazing healing properties. I am not sure. Yeah. So help the digestion with digestive enzymes. Put the digestive system to rest by giving it the foods that it's meant to transform. Okay, and then give it some help by digestive enzymes, the hydrochloric acid and pepsin. Support those main body filters like the liver, the kidneys. Cleanse them so they work better. And please address the emotions, okay? Digestive system equals emotions, okay? It's an emotional system. So it really reacts to all of our emotions, to the stress, to everything. Okay, you need to address the emotions. And it takes time. Okay? So as you've seen, all these diseases are directly linked to the digestive tract. One last word, but very important, pregnancy and breastfeeding, okay? In order to have a healthy child, what is the most important thing to do is to refurbish and repair your intestine. Why? Because the baby, when it's inside mother's tummy, its intestine is almost sterile, okay? There is some bacteria that goes via the placenta into its intestine, but we say it's colonized at the moment that it goes through your body, okay? So if it goes by a natural means, it will inherit the makeup of mother's bacterial imprint via the vagina, and if it's via the cesarean, it will inherit all the skin bacteria from the operatory block, okay? Wow. Which is much less in strength. So you really want to have your baby naturally if you can, okay? The makeup of mother's bacteria she shares with the father, okay? So the two need to have a healthy makeup of the bacteria. So I always, and I'm starting to be very, very involved in this because I catch people at the last stage when you already have a lot of issues. We really like to be in prevention in naturopathy. So we want to make sure that your child is healthy when it comes to this world, okay? So in order to be healthy, your makeup of bacteria has to be strong, diverse and strong, okay? So probiotics, fermented food, do all this that I've just told you before conception, okay? Then if it's too late, you haven't had the information, when you're pregnant, as soon as you're pregnant, probiotics, okay? Probiotics, the most important one, then you need to have vitamin B9, which is important for the brain, and omegas, okay? The three most important things in pregnancy. So construct your microbiome before pregnancy. Then once you have the baby, how are you going to pass it, all these good information and good bacteria? By breastfeeding them. This is their capital health that you're giving them, both of these things, okay? If a baby has colics or has digestive issues, you want to put a little bit of probiotics on your breast before it feeds. It's a great way to give it to them. And of course, teach them from the beginning how to eat well, okay? Really, really important. Okay. I see children today that have issues of grown-ups. When I was learning about naturopathy, they used to tell us when we would look into the iris, this is a condition you find in the 50-year-old. Okay? Now I see it in teenagers. Okay? So your health is in your hands. Okay? It's all in your hands. And this is the message that I'm giving you today. It's 90% of you is you can do whatever you like with it. And it's influenced through the food, through the way you think, your emotions, and through what you put inside. Okay? How you do it. So in DS Naturopathy, we give you these tools, and we want you to become managers of your own health. Okay? This is what we do in naturopathy. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
I'd like to know about your son. How long did it take for him to overcome his allergies?
So Nicholas was 2.5, or 2 when it started, and I think he ate his first ice cream when he was 5. So it took me a long time. Okay, today I do this so much quicker because at the time I had no information. I was not a naturopath, I was an architect. There was nothing in France relating to this, so this is how I started my own path, how I started to look for answers, and I turned towards the natural. Homeopathy really helped in the beginning a lot, and then I realized, first thing I realized, that when I changed his diet, he was so much better. Yeah, so allergies, straight away you can influence them already with the diet, okay? Then there's some fantastic supplements that really, mushrooms again, yeah? Mushrooms are just, yeah, no, it's mushrooms in capsules, yeah, dried medicinal mushrooms. Yeah.
I have a question. So, yogurt, of course, it's a dairy. So we shouldn't feed our kids yogurt?
No yogurt.
Like my son, he eats every single day, like 3 times yogurt.
Yeah.
It's bad for him.
Yeah, not very good for him, yeah. Not very good for him. Yeah, you're feeding all this bad bacteria. Okay, kefir, give him kefir. Get some kefir grains, get some raw goat milk. You don't have sheep milk, but you can get goat milk here, and do some kefir. Kefir is the most potent. It has a type of bacteria. So all these probiotics that we put in our body, they are good bacteria. They go inside. They do the really good work, and then after a while they go out. The kefir bacteria, they know this from research, comes in and colonizes. So they stay permanently. They've found this out when they were doing a study on the people who were living the longest, and they found them in Russia in the steppe, and they were trying to figure out why did they live so long. And when they researched a little bit, they found out that they were all eating kefir. So they said, oh, okay, let's see what this kefir is. And this is, yeah, you can make it so easy. You just need to go on Amazon and buy some kefir grains. Yeah?
I'm curious if there's a specific relation between a certain deficiency or toxin and breast cancer.
So breast cancer, first of all, you have to understand how misbalances happen, okay? We need to have an environment that is toxic, so a misbalance physically, okay? But most of our, especially the very big problems like cancer, diabetes 1, and etc., they have to have an emotional trigger. There has to be an emotional stress that has been lived inside you or whoever has this. So we have there was a doctor in France who decoded all this long time ago. So we know, for example, if it's a left breast, okay, if you're right-handed, it has to do with children, home, and something to do like that. If it's the right breast, the emotional impact has to do with the partner or your brother or your father or something that represents the masculine side. Yeah, and when I talk about with my cancer patients, when I talk about the emotions, I take time to talk about emotions. 9 out of 10 we'll find the cause, okay?
I have a friend, her husband passed away with a heart attack on the treadmill. All of a sudden, and she got breast cancer after.
Yeah, so you see that. And this doctor figured it out because he had a son who had an accident, shooting accident, but they were hunting accident. And so he died very quickly, very dramatically. And both him and his wife developed 6 months later, him the prostate cancer and her the ovary, or something that we lost, okay, that was dear to us. Okay, it can be a job that you lost, okay?
My husband's father.
Yeah. Yeah. So emotions are very, very interesting.
Do you have cases or examples where autistic children or cases where reverse improved after diet replacement?
I don't have. I have improved a lot the autistic children that I work with, but if you want to go back into words and pick up a book that's called from Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride. She's one of the top UK neurologists, and she healed her own son with the diet and supplements. And my plan is based on a major part of my, it's a little bit different because I don't work with dairy and because we don't get healthy dairy and things like that here. It's gluten psychology syndrome. It's a GAPS diet, what we call, okay? And I can tell you, however, the autism is a whole spectrum of different disorders, okay? And along that, it starts with allergies, okay? So my son is on the same family, was in the same family of this. We have families of illnesses, okay? So autism is in the same family of speech disorders, of behavioral disorders like ADHD. I have a lot of children that they don't speak, okay? My first child that I treated like that is a young boy from here. A few years back, he was 3 and he didn't speak a word. So, and he had all the symptoms related to autism, not too extreme. And the parents came and I proposed, and I told them there had to be a major change in the diet. They came, they were very skeptical. And throughout the consultation, when I was telling them they had to take out this, this, and that, the mother was so shocked. I thought she would never do it. And she did it, and in 2 weeks, he spoke his first word.
Wow.
2 weeks. Not only they were shocked, I was shocked. I knew it in the books that it would happen, but when you see it with your own eyes, in 3 months, he was talking so much, they couldn't stop him. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. So this, I really have excellent results with these children. I'm becoming a little bit specialized with the concentration, with the, so it's all linked with the diet.
For a child with speech delay and learning disabilities.
Yeah, exactly. Same group.
Even if they're older, like I have a daughter, 6.5 years.
Yeah, even if they're 60. Okay, even when they're 80, you still improve things a lot. Okay, so diet is not enough in some cases. You need to have supplements. You have to understand that their digestive system is so it's so damaged that you really have to put in the good stuff inside to repair.